Hello, welcome to Zig Wheels, and we are here at the launch of the new Pulsar, and it's a new Pulsar more importantly than what name it's carrying or what engine size it is, because it is a new generation Pulsar, and I think we've been waiting for it for a really long time. And of course the details will be obvious as soon as you see the motorcycle. This is the 250, of course, and the one that we've got here is the fed one, the F250, as you can see the name, and there we have the naked 250, which is called the N250. Now this is built on an all new platform, which is, I think, the most critical bit is here. I think a lot of interesting stories around the new generation Pulsar, and one of the most important ones, like Mr. Bajaj was speaking today earlier on, was talking about how the KTM venture kind of sidelined the Pulsars for a while, and this is really the comeback of the Pulsar, and that engine is at the heart of it, because the Pulsar, the NS200, was derived, the engine was derived from the KTMs, but this is a true blue Pulsar in the sense that it's simple, it's meant to be grunty, and I'm going to get into the specs of the motorcycle here for just a bit, because interestingly this 250cc engine delivers the same amount of horsepower as the NS200, which is about 24.5 PS, but in terms of torque, it's got 21.5 Nm of torque, which is more than the NS200, which is more than the Pulsar 220 before it. I mean, not before it actually, because interestingly, Bajaj say that the 220F will continue to be sold along with these two, at least for the time being. So yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see, because I think that has been a rock star for Bajaj, and while this one is the future rock star for them, they don't want to let go of the 220F too soon, right? And in terms of what this motorcycle is, let's be very clear, this is a step up from the 220F. It's got all the things that people loved about the 220F in terms of, you know, you've got a half fairing, you've got that gigantic projector headlamp, which is LED DRLs here on the fully fed one, and you've got a slightly different style of DRL for the naked. But I mean, between the two, which one do you prefer? For me, is the naked that kind of works a little bit better. I don't know why, but it does, and it just looks a little bit more aggressive to me, something new from Bajaj that way. But there's a lot of familiarity in the design. If I have to look at this, the tank, it reminds you of the NS200, the way the extensions come into the tank. There is a little bit of, does this panel remind you of some other Bajaj? That would be interesting if you could tell me what you thought about that. And again, between the N250 and the F250, you can see a little bit of a difference in terms of the bars. This is a one-piece bar, whereas on the fed version, you get split handlebar, of course. And yeah, so coming back to the motorcycle overall, this is kind of bringing together the best bits of the 220F and the NS. So in terms of hardware, you see there's an upgrade in terms of what it's packing. You can see the disc brake, 300mm disc brake now, single channel ABS. I wish there was dual channel ABS, but it's a single channel ABS. And interestingly, there's a new company providing the brakes, Remeka. We don't know the details on that yet, but yeah, that is a new supplier. And in terms of tires, you can see the size has gone up. This is a 180 front, and at the rear you get a 130/70. I can just point that out right here. Right now, earlier it used to be this used to be offered on the NS200, not on the Pulsar. So this is a step up on the, I mean, not on the Pulsar 220F. So this is a step up that you're seeing here with the 250 again. And of course, the Pulsar character, you're going to hear and feel that with the exhaust note. I'm going to just turn it on for a second. Yeah. Nice bassy exhaust note, and it's obviously going to get people's attention with that. So that is a quick roundup of the two Pulsars that we've got here. In terms of specs, I've run you through the tires, brakes, step up. You know that in terms of power, it's making the same amount as the NS200, but in terms of torque, it's more than before. Weight is 160 kilos thereabouts. It could be a bit lighter as compared to the competition, like let's say the Gixxer, which is a bit lighter, or the Gixxer SF250. But keep in mind, the Gixxer SF250 is a lot more expensive. It's about 170, whereas this, for the faired version, is 140, right? And the naked version is less than that, and which is just a few thousand rupees more than the Pulsar 220F, which it is and should be replacing. So yeah, that's the Pulsar. There are a lot of things that we still have to find out. What does it actually feel like to ride? But we'll run through some of the details that we can see here. Switchgear, very familiar stuff. You look at the instrument console, very simple, minimalistic, nothing very fancy. There's no Bluetooth. There's no connected tech for a new gen motorcycle. You know, you start expecting, but at least there's a USB port. Very familiar switchgear that we've seen with Bajaj's before. And split seat, nicely padded. Here, this angle, again, the NS connection seems a little obvious from that standpoint. So what is it going to feel like to ride? How is it going to be? We'll be able to tell you that a little later. 11th of November is when the embargo lifts, when we can start talking about what the Pulsar, the new Pulsar, is like to ride. And we're going to be riding it soon actually, but we won't be able to talk about it until the 11th. So yeah, this is the new gen Pulsar. Did I tell you that it's got a new frame? Yeah, this looks like, reminds you of the older one on the NS, the perimeter frame, but it's actually just a down tube here. I mean, it's got a single spine, it's got a spine here, right? So that's the frame that it's gone for. And of course, in terms of, compared to the Pulsar 220F, there's a monoshock here now instead of twin shocks. The NS also, of course, has a monoshock. But yeah, this is the Pulsar, the N250, and a quick hop over here for us is the F250. Still a lot of attention for the two motorcycles. I'm just gonna quickly, thank you, just gonna quickly run around it. We'll be able to talk about it more in depth soon. On the 11th, we'll be able to tell you what it's like to ride. Do stay tuned to Zig Wheels, and we'll be there. See ya.